Hello and welcome to another video with me, Veerle. Welcome, dear astrology friends. As from now, I'm calling you my astrology friends. And this is another video about the Mars going direct. But first of all, from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you so much. I have appreciated so much the kindness, the support, the loving emails I got, the comments. They were so many. I've read every single one of them, and I'm not going to reply every single one of them, but I'm saying it in this way. Thank you so much. It has helped me to get going. It certainly made a difference, a huge one. So don't ever estimate energy. Don't ever underestimate what you are putting out there. And I've learned so much lately, but again, thank you. What a lovely tribe this is. I knew that this little community that we're having, I'm a part of it, yes, but you are a part of it as well. This little community on this YouTube channel. I knew that these are kind people. I mean, I read the comments, so I knew these are people that are like-minded, right? That are going through life, through stages of life, and we support each other. And when we are having good times, but also when we are having challenging times. But now I really felt it to the extreme, how kind you are and supportive. So anyway, thank you so much. And that has given me a lot of inspiration, basically, to keep on doing this channel. And oh boy, do I have content. I think I have a lot of content of not only because of what I've been through now, lately, but in general, this is more and more about how to deal with life and how to embrace what is and how to understand life than it is about astrology. But anyway, astrology is indeed a very divine tool, a very beautiful divine tool that can help us. And there are other tools, absolutely, but this is a tool that unites us, right? You and me. So let's get started, because I don't want to make this video too long. This is a video that goes together with the video of the Mars retrograde. So let's get down to the astrology. If Mars goes direct, these are the facts. Mars goes direct at the end of the week, which is around the 12th, the 13th of January in Gemini at 8 degrees. If you want to know more about this Mars retrograde and where it is coming from, watch my other video. I will put up a link at the very end of this video so that you can have a look at where this is coming from. So, because all of this already started in August of 2022 when Mars entered Gemini. And now it's so direct again, and it's going to be staying there in Gemini up until the 26th of March. So out of its shadow on the 17th of March. And that will be after it hits the point of the 25 degrees of Gemini. But what does it all mean, this going direct of Mars in Gemini? And very quickly, I'm going to have a look at each and individual sign. But basically, what it means by Mars going direct is that our actions, which is Mars, our intentions, which is also Mars, the intention behind the action, you could say, it is going forwards again. So that is good news. It is good news to know that we all have been preparing and rethinking a certain area of our life for sure for all of these months. But now we can put things into action. Now, first things first is that whilst Mars is going direct in Gemini, and Gemini is ruled by Mercury, we have to look at where Mercury is as well. And Mercury at this particular moment is still in Capricorn, but also going retrograde. So it is only when Mercury also goes direct that we will feel this Mars direct even more. So you could say, summarizing, yes, around Thursday, Friday, we are going to feel that things are going forward, but we are going to feel that things are really going forward when Mercury goes direct as well, which will be around next week. So around the 19th of January, Mercury in Capricorn goes direct. So I will be having a look at both of these planets where there are in your horoscope for each and individual sign. So actually, is it already time now around Thursday, Friday to go full speed with new actions? No. It is time after the 19th, but it is already time to set those first steps, and that has to do with intention. And talking about intention, this Mars retrograde was all about the mind. It was all about intention. It was all about good intention. And in a way, the pitfall is still the same as I was talking about in the Mars retrograde video earlier on. It's still the same pitfall, which is scattered energy, which is one week you want to go to the left, the other week you want to go to the right, which is with this Mars and Neptune that has been very much in a square and has been the energy of the Mars retrograde. It also means that we have to watch out for the pitfalls of the Gemini, which is the gossip, which is watching out what we're saying, because it will fire back or backfire, fire back. You see the slips of the tongue? It's a very Gemini kind of thing. So we really have to watch out the intention behind our actions. What I normally give as advice to people who've got these things going on in their chart, it is the following. It is the intention that is everything. If the intention is to build something, to create something in the future that is aligned with yourself and with the divine, that is aligned, that is good for you and all the people surrounded or that are connected to you, not necessarily because of your ego. So then, and you want to go forwards with that you can go wrong. You can go wrong. The only thing when this becomes very, very tricky is when you're trying to do sneaky things, when you're trying to manipulate, especially with Mercury in Capricorn, that has been so close to Pluto, and it will go back with a conjunction with Pluto very soon. So the trickiness is there. So you are warned here to be as aligned as you can with the divine and to honor your higher self and the nature and to go with the flow a little bit. Now, the good thing about this Gemini energy is to connect with people, but on a very light level, so not too intense. Also to do like Gemini kind of things, which is short trips. I'm definitely gonna try to do that. A short trip or something that you will learn, a skill that you want to learn, or something that you want to teach or that you want to say. Again, when it comes from the heart, when it comes from your higher self together with the divine, you cannot go wrong. So these are the big messages that I want to give. They are quite clear, and it is also clear that whilst this Mars is going direct, we have a Venus square Uranus, so we will be wanting, which is Venus, we will be wanting to do things a bit differently. So do something that you like and you love in the weekend that you haven't done before, or that excites you a little bit, because that is something that we all I'm not going to say desperate, but that is really in the stars that we can take advantage of. And as long as it's not to just serve the ego, right? So let's have a look on around about the 12th, the 13th of January For Aries people, this is in your third house. So this is very specific towards the way that you think. You act now in a different way with this Mars going direct. And the thing is that you wanted to transform something that has to do with your career, that has to do with your 10th house, because that is where Mercury is. But that shift again is complete when Mercury goes direct next week, or is about to go into a new form. Because don't forget, Capricorn is all about the form and the structure. So it is almost as if you are going to speak differently, as if you are going to act differently with siblings, with neighbors, with people in the neighborhood, which is the third house. Maybe some short trips that you're going to take now. Maybe a different style of PR that you're going to do because you have your own business, for instance. But it has this goal of transformation and of reconstructing your 10th house, which is your career. For people who don't have a career, the 10th house is how you are seen. It's your social présence. How do you call that? It's how people see you in the world. It's your contribution to the world. And whether that is like raising children, whether that is raising grandchildren, whatever it is, there is something structural that was not okay, and that you have a possibility now to change. So that is what this is all about. Very, very interesting indeed. For Taurians, this is in your second house, this Mars, which is actually your house. It's the area of life that has to do with your worth, that has to do with value, and that has to do with money. So you could do some new directions here, some new intentions, some new ways of how you are dealing with hustling for the money, for instance, or with how you are dealing with being active to you by validating yourself. It's not like, for the Taurians, it's very clear that something has changed here in the way that they think. Because the Mercury going retrograde in your 9th house is the way that you think, the higher perspective that you have. So something has changed in your perspective and needed to change. And I think it has to do a lot with validation about yourself, that you are looking outside of you, that now you know that you have to find it inside of you, which is a hard work to do, but it's way more fulfilling. It's like you investing in you, basically. And the 9th house with going retrograde and so on can have to do with travel, can have to do with some restructuring there, can have to do with learning and teaching, but first and foremost, that has to do with your higher mind. So something needs to go, an old paradigm, an old way of belief system needs to go before you can be more solid in what you are all about, and also stabilizing, therefore, your finances. Gemini, what an important Mars retrograde this was for you. This was all about you. This was not about others. This was not about situations. This was all about you. And the way that it is so deep is shown by Mercury going retrograde in your 8th house. So Mercury going backwards and forwards in that 8th house of other people's value, of the gifts that you get from other people, whether it is financially, whether it is emotionally, whatever it is, there is a reconstruction there going on for you. And it all has to do with your intention and how you are presenting yourself, how you profile yourself in a more than ever, not that it wasn't before, but in a way stronger way, my English, in a very good way, in a way that is more aligned with you and more aligned with everything that is around you. So there is some sort of a symbolic death going on, for sure, when it goes to this transformation of deep psychological stuff that needs to go for once and for all. The 8th house is trauma. So there has been a lot of triggering probably for you as well over the latest months. And this has been going on as from March with this Mars retrograde. So, but in the bigger picture, maybe also something that has been going on for a longer time. But you have an opportunity to definitely transform this for the better, for everyone concerned, and especially for you, how you go courageously into this life and in a way that is very intentionally appropriate and very intentionally correct, you could say. Cancerians, this Mars direct finally goes direct in your 12th house. This was, the 12th house is, as I said, one of the biggest, the most challenging, difficult houses to understand because it's the unconscious. So because it is stuff that we just, put under the carpet, so to speak. And probably there has been coming up a lot for you, a lot from the unconscious, a lot from karmic patterns, from even childhood experiences. And that is now going direct, which means that things are going forwards with you. And it's reflected in your relationship, in your romantic relationship, or in your business partner relationship, or with your clients, or all three of them, because this Mercury goes backwards and forwards in your 7th house. So you felt the need to restructure your relationship with a significant other person. And that is good. That is good to make it more real, to make it more authentic. And you understand that now because of the patterns that you've seen with this Mars going backwards and forwards, and with the blind spots that you have seen that were all about you. And that is reflected in your relationships, in how you do relationships. So a whole new way, you have like the opportunity for a whole new way of relating to people that is much more real, much more authentic, and much more real to you, so that you are not sacrificing yourself anymore, because that's Mars in the 12th house. It's sacrificial. It's sacrificing. It is not healthy, not for you and for anyone concerned. It's not healthy. So you have this huge opportunity here, of course, of all people, because of this Mercury retrograde going backwards and forwards, to transform your life in a very good way, with better intentions, with release of old patterns, with release of old child wounds, understanding them now because they came up, because they were triggered of a certain situation. And now there is a lot of healing going on for you, and therefore a lot of decisions that are going to be made with significant relationship. If you say, but Veerle, I'm single, this could mean that a specific person that is catching your eye is showing you a lot about yourself, is showing you a lot about the spots that you didn't even know about yourself. So these patterns that I'm talking about. So very healing period for you. Leos, this is all happening in your 11th house, this Mars direct. So this has to do with friends, this has to do with associations, this has to do with your goals for the future. I mean, this is a pretty nice Mars direct here, because it's an air sign, and an air sign goes well with your fire sign. And the thing that needs to be reconstructed is your day-to-day life, your work, and your health, and how you deal with that, because the Mercury retrograde is in that 6th house. So it's almost as if getting active with your plans and goals, reinvent yourself through your plans and goals for the future, that you still need to do some reconstruction in your day-to-day level, in your day-to-day kind of life, you could say. So for a lot of Leos, I know that a lot of Leos have been struggling with some issues at work, and with some issues with their health as well. So they show that some structure is not good yet. But again, as soon as Mercury goes direct next week, you will see that these things are going to open up for you, so that you can go on with your plans, and that you can go on with also friends of yours that now you are a bit like the leadership role at this particular moment. I'm not going to say always, but at this particular moment, you can lead a group of people. You can lead a group of a group of friends as well. There could have been arguments and there could have been gossiping and whatnot with friends, but so this period was to solve this, to see what this is all about. And now with Mars direct, you could say you can start all over again in a new way. Virgos, this was about the 10th house, which is your position, you could say, in society, which is for a lot of you, your work. This Mars going direct again in Gemini. And this has to do with a new way, how you view your work and how you're going to do your work. And it has to do as well with the Mercury retrograde in your 5th house of authenticity in expressing who you are. And I'm smiling because I'm a Virgo, my sun is in Virgo, I kind of see this coming. And so it's a lot about using your creativity, your authenticity, the structure in how you can show who you are and what you're all about, and reflecting that in your work. And also, if you had a job, for instance, that was not real, not authentic, your heart wasn't there, you probably have made some adjustments. You still can do them, and you are going to feel so much better with Mars going direct. It could have been a lot of gossip at work, a lot of bossy people around you, but ultimately, when you express your heart, when you express what you are all about, and when you show yourself in quite an earthy, Capricornian kind of way, you cannot go wrong. So a lot of Virgos will shift their jobs. A lot of Virgos will do their job in a different way. And of course, it is ruled by this Mercury, and you are ruled by Mercury as well. So for you in particular, you will not feel so much this Mars direct, but you will feel more that things go forwards when Mercury goes direct, which is next week around the 19th. Librans, this is happening in a fellow air sign. So for you, this is way better, you could say, as this Mars goes direct for you in your 9th house. It could have been that you are learning a new skill, that you are teaching something, learning something, traveling as well, understanding the bigger picture. There is something about your mindset that you are going to apply in a different way by studying something, by teaching, by traveling, by exploring even things like astrology, or that has to do with the the metaphysical side of life. And the core here is your emotional well-being, because that is where Mercury goes retrograde still now in that 4th house. So a lot of structure needs to be restructured there when it comes to your emotions. For others, it is your home. So you could be dealing with buying and selling home, maybe relocating to another country even. Of course, for a small percentage of you, but I just mentioned some examples here. So this is a lot, you could say, about your perspective, and because that has changed and you're going to apply that differently, you feel emotionally more secure. So you will have more emotional security, certainly from next week and onwards, that you will feel that you are stronger now and more supported. It's like you parenting yourself, basically. Scorpios, this Mars goes direct in your 8th house, which is your house. So this was a deep transformation for you for sure. That is connected with this Mercury retrograde in your 3rd house. So that is connected with the way you think. That is connected with the way you communicate with siblings, with neighbors, with people around you, with how you deal with travels, with short trip travels, how you deal with learning, with PR, if you do have your own business, for instance. And but certainly this is transformation. Certainly this is all about your shadow and the shadow work that you've been doing while Mars went retrograde in your 8th house. Now, talking about shadow work, if there is a sign that needs to do shadow work in their life, it's the person who's got Scorpio planets. They cannot get away with it. They cannot run away from it. It is a necessary thing to realign and to go deep. It's a necessity to go deep. And now, so a lot of you have gone through these very deep psychological understandings. Battling with fears is also very common with this Mars in Gemini in the 8th house. So there is for you now a movement of going forward in a different way of thinking. It's all starting from the mind. It's like a reprogramming that you've been doing. And certainly when there were like obsessive thoughts or, yes, I can't put it in other words, obsessive thinking, for instance, that you have transformed now. It has to run its course. We cannot, sometimes we have a thought that is so obsessive, but we cannot force it to stop it. It has to run its course. And with this Mars going direct, it shows that it has run its course. And when it goes direct now, you are like transformed. You're not the same person anymore. And that is all because there is a shift in the mind. So good for you. You have really gotten an internal upgrade that is huge and that is going to show you a lot of benefit in the future. Sagittarians, this was all about your connections, the people that you connect with. This one particular spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, this partner of yours, business partners, clients, all of that. There is a shift here with Mars going direct again at the end of the week. There is a shift of how you intend to deal with people. And it all has to do with this Mercury retrograde in your 2nd house. The 2nd house is the house of family. The 2nd house in Vedic astrology, it's the house of family. But it's also, of course, in Western astrology, most importantly, the house of the self and of the self-worth. So it's all connected to that. So for you as well, there is a lot of rebalancing your worth, knowing what your worth is. And that reflects, of course, in your relationships. So you had to go through this period of time where you have to rethink your relationships. And where that is not an easy thing to do. But this reflection with Mars in the 7th house, you had to deal with also possible open enemies, people who are really saying openly to you, this is not working because of this and that. Mars is a very fiery energy and it's in Gemini, so fiery words. So there must have been probably quite some challenges and discussions and things that are said and gossipy energy as well. So you really had your share of being very, very alert and of being very, very aware of the fact that how do you view you and what is your intention for the future. And only then, of course, things can go forwards. Not only that, but also in a new way and in a more healthy way. Because that's what this is all about with the Mercury in your 2nd house. This has to do with worth. This has to do also on a financial level that you might have had something to sort out with a spouse or with someone that you are very close to, that you had to deal with rearrangements there. And for those of you who are single, this could definitely mean that someone was there and showing you and triggering you about your self-worth, even if you're not in a relationship. So definitely a very good, a very good energy now going on with the direct. And it was a challenging time, but new times are coming here. Capricorn, this was all happening in your 6th house, Mars going direct. And as a Capricorn, the 6th house is a very earthly house. It's the house of the Virgo. It has to do with your day-to-day routines, your day-to-day work, your health. So something must have come up that you wanted to do different. And it all has to do with you. The core is you, because the Mercury is in your sign going backwards and forwards. So this might be very much for a lot of Capricorns about your health, about literally your physics, and literally your body that you are trying to you could say reconstruct, or that you are trying to do things that are healthy for you in the long run and that you have redone. Now, for those of you who want to do workouts in a different way and whatnot, the best timing is actually after the 19th of January. I mean, the best timing to continue. You can start up already this week, at the end of the week, but you're going to have that confirmation coming up next week. So this is about your life path. There is something new here appearing, your life path, how you profile yourself, how you want to do life. The first house is everything, you could say. It's your relationships, it's your work. So, and it all goes through the change of your day-to-day habits. So it's a lot about habits, how you are doing them differently now, and first how you think to do them differently, and then by your actions and also solving problems there. So there could have been some gossip at the workplace, especially if you work at an office. It could also mean that you have shifted jobs or changed jobs, or at least did something else or a new project, and it will go forwards particularly as from next week. Aquarius with Mars direct in your 5th house. It is a fellow air sign Gemini, so for you it should be a little bit easier when it comes to doing things differently on a heart level. Mars in the 5th house is about your heart. It's about your if you are all in or not, if your heart is there to create, whether that is a love relationship, which could be the fact, which can also be a project, which can be the way that you are having fun in your life. And it all boils down to this Mercury that went retrograde in your 12th house. So a lot of unconscious stuff for you has come up and still is coming up with this. It's like reconstructing your blind spots. It's like showing them so that you can release them, transform them, and that you can go on with your life in a much lighter way, in a heart way, where you open up your heart more than ever, and where there is place for joy. Because if we don't open up our hearts, we're not going to enjoy life. So this is all about a new way of enjoying life, a new way of dealing with your heart, basically. And also in a very intentional way, that you want to go to the left, you want to go to the right. Maybe you have two lovers at the same time, Mars and Gemini there in your 5th house. So these are ways now to figure out what's good for you and everyone concerned. And especially when Mercury goes direct next week, you will feel that shift tremendously. And enjoy the Venus in your sign, because that means that you're going to do self-care as well, which is really important, and not damaging yourself by the decisions that you are taking. Last but not least, the Pisceans, having this Mars retrograde in the 4th house, it's all about your emotional well-being and your home. So with this Mars going backwards and forwards, there's some shifts there that have to be made, and it was reflected also in your 11th house of friends and of aspirations. So there is a reconstruction going on there. For sure, with friends, with your aspirations for the future, a lot of future-oriented energy, which is very, very good. And next week, you're going to feel that tremendously, because Mercury is also the ruler of your 7th house. So it's also considering your relationships, your romantic relationships, not only your friends. So there is a transformation going on. Gemini is like very, very, you could say, airy, and it's very like, I want to do this, but I also want to do that. There needs to be some clarity there. The Gemini in your 4th house, but the ruler of it in the house of reconstruction. 11th house of your friends and your aspirations. So for you in particular, as well as the Virgos, you will feel it more next week, that things are shifting and going forwards. But the way that you do your home life, it needs to be done in a different way, and you have the ability to do so with Mars going direct on Thursday, Friday. So it could mean that you're having 2 houses at the moment like Mars and Gemini in the 4th house, that you have to deal with the selling and the buying and so on. It could have to do with that as well. But whatever it is, there is a shift in how you are being active at home. So I've been talking about this for a long time, that a lot of Pisceans are going through this stage where they need to prepare themselves for a new home, literally. But for a lot of you as well, when you are saying, no, Veerle, I'm in my home, I'm not thinking about moving, this has to do with your emotional well-being, of being very active, you yourself, to be your own parent, to be your own supplier, so to speak, of emotional support. It comes from within now, and it needs to come from within, first and foremost. And of course, it's always nice when you have those friends and connections. Don't get me wrong here with Mercury in your 11th house, but it's not everything. A friend cannot be a parent. A friend cannot be all of the emotional support that you want. And that is very important here. And someone will show that to you, whether it is a romantic lover, whether it is a friend, that the filling up of the cup of emotional support needs to start with the self, need to start with the parenting the self-care, the self-support. So a lot of you is from that. And that is a beautiful thing, because a Piscean who helps themselves first can be the best supporters ever. On that note, I thank you very much for watching this little video. Thank you so much for, again, all the support, and see you soon. Bye-bye.